I've already said, get ready for next year, because next year we are going to see so much panic about Reform UK, what the Conservatives need to do to take them on and how they can, quote, survive. But here's the thing. We've done this. We talked about this openly. Like, what are the big problems for the Conservative Party? And yet, they will never pay them any attention. They will never listen to them because they're just not interested. Just not interested in hearing them. Because if they did that, it would generally be a moment of introspection. They would look in the mirror and they would go, oh, okay, we need to make, a few changes. And of course, January, New Year's resolutions time, coming up, let's all go to the gym and then quit in early February, as most gym memberships do. Gyms, like I say, rake it in about 80% during the first, I think, 2 months, where the membership shoots up and then it drops down very quickly after that. Most gyms really have to fight to keep the retention because they don't want that. It's not a very good business model when most people will join in January and then leave. The gyms do try a lot to try and discourage that, but again, it happens every year. But this isn't just a case of about getting fit and healthy. For the Conservatives, it is very, very clearly becoming. When we're doing my review of 2025, we'll be talking about the end of the Tory party, this time next year. Who knows? Who knows? And I will say this: do not discount the crazy stuff that might happen in politics, because, as they say, a week is a long time in politics, and a year is an eternity. Just look where we were this time last year, speculating. Well, we know there's going to be a general election next year. We just don't know when. We had a minister for common sense, Esher McVeigh, bringing all that common sense to government. And yet here we are now with an actual grown-up government getting on with the job of governing, doing the day-to-day minutiae, getting on with the job. The difference is night and day. Now, not everyone likes what they're doing, but again, that's fine. That's politics. Again, I have my disagreements again with the current government as well. I think they could have gone a lot further in the rent reform bill. Again, there's a lot of other stuff, again, they could have done. But like I say, go watch, my review of the year. And you can get that by, again, joining the Patreon or joining the Pony Club. Again, links down below. Or you can buy me coffee on that as well. And of course, there's a YouTube thank you button down below as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel. And thank you very much to everyone who's done that throughout the year. Like I say, thank you very much. And like I say, if you do want to watch that video, join the Pony Club, join the Patreon, you'll get access to it. And if you just want to see that video, you can go to the Patreon and just buy that video now if you want. So, as always, thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel. And of course, on with this. So, this, Tim Montgomery, new, of course, editor at Conservative Home. Maybe the last editor of Conservative Home. Who knows? So he's talking about, of course, where we need to where the Conservative Party needs to be. He's going to be talking about the preparations the party needs to do. But once again, misses the point straight away. He says in the title article, he says, post-Christmas, it's time for the Conservatives to get fit and healthy for the fight with Labour and Reform. What about the Lib Dems? Once again, Lib Dems took more seats for them, took more votes from them than Reform did. Why are you so... Again, Labour, of course, the government, yes, but why so much focus on Reform? When you mentioned the Lib Dems, nothing. And I've said this now. I think in May, I think the big beneficiaries are going to be the Lib Dems, because right now they are digging in. They are going to be trying to dig into all those areas where they won and took from the Conservatives. And if they do get local councils, take control of them, win, like, take away majorities so that the maybe Conservatives don't have overall control, or take more council seats from Conservatives, they're going to dig themselves in very, very effectively. Very, very effectively indeed. And they won't, and the Conservatives will have just been blindsided completely on this. So we're just going to jump this first part, because he talks about, again, Jim going to the going to the going to the gym, etc. I get it, setting up the piece, but we're not interested in that at the moment. We're interested in this. So for the Conservative Party, Christmas was and probably should be the latter. 2025 is going to present real challenges to the party. Any poor habits, ill discipline, careless spending, and self-indulgent introspection needs to be swept aside to get at least match fit, and needs to now be put into overdrive. Well, here's the thing. Ill discipline, still there. Still there. The factionalism, the infighting, etc., hasn't gone away. It's just that currently there's nothing to fight about, because Kimmy Badenoch hasn't come out with, what she intends to do. Careless spending, of course, this is something that has been brought up, remember, during the Conservative leadership contest, that the Conservatives were actually in a pretty precarious financial state. What's Kimmy Badenoch's solution to that? Nothing. And then I like this. Self-indulgent introspection. Well, you haven't even done any introspection, to be honest, within the party. Yes, there have been a lot of people saying, well, this is what went wrong. And maybe he sort of means that. Maybe that's the self-indulgent introspection he's talking about. Again, also, as editor, he's put articles about that self-indulgent introspection onto his own website. He's been in charge of that. But there needs to be a lot more introspection, a lot more honest introspection. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. But it's so bizarre. But there you go. Anyway, internal party changes aren't going to win a single vote. Again, true. But they need to, of course, continue and, of course, bed in to ensure that the Conservatives can actually start to do just that, winning votes. Again, good luck with that, because as far as we know, nothing big has been changing at CCHQ. Walking the pavements and knocking on the doors will need to beat the treadmill of the gym. And from what we can tell, Rishi Sunak has blown that. The activists that you have for that aren't interested in that. Guess what? They're all old. They're dying off. The Conservative Party needs to look to a younger generation. And to do that, it has to fundamentally change in what policies it's going to pursue. It needs to move away from the right to become a more centrist party. But it's not going to do that because of reform. And because of many of those who just can't even bring themselves to look in the mirror to see how much the fact the country has changed. Nothing whatsoever. But, we saw in the last general election, Miriam Cates left entirely by herself, abandoned by the party. She wasn't the only one. She wasn't the only one out there that got abandoned. But it just goes to show you the lack of activists that they really do have to do that door knocking, to do that pavement pounding. So those now need to be fired back up to now fight back, needed now to inspire those who might be tempted to fall by the wayside because it's just got too hard. Sometimes results need to be ground out. by sheer hard slog and determination. And frankly, we are all the sweeter for it. Basically, he's accusing the party of not working hard enough. You activists are not working hard enough. Bear in mind, Michael Gove, well, a couple of months back, did his own sort of big post-mortem from Onward. And in that, he actually talks about lack of activists. There was a massive demotivational factor that came again from above, which motivated them. They weren't young enough. They weren't, in some cases, do we say, fit enough to be able to do more than a couple of streets where they needed to, do an entire neighborhood, in an afternoon so that tomorrow they can move on to the next one. They were too slow to be able to do that. But there you go. So, this reason for the warning is the Conservatives now have competition, serious competition, but not necessarily from inevitable winners. Really? Serious competition, but not from the inevitable winners? What about the Lib Dems? Like, are you going to talk about the Lib Dems, about how they are already preparing for the May local elections and they are targeting all those new seats that they won to entrench themselves? Anyway, no doubt about it. Nigel Farage's Reform Party will feel it has had a very good Christmas. His team are already match fit. Yes, we've heard people boast about the membership numbers before, as if it actually means something. Jeremy Corbyn loved talking about numbers and crowds, and that turned out to be useless markers for success. Again, true. Very true indeed. I've had these conversations before with the leftists. Oh, but Corbyn pumped the numbers of the Labour Party up so much. Well, didn't really mean a marker for success. He's very true in that. However, projecting those Reform membership numbers onto CCHQ over Christmas showed more important things than the numbers themselves. Timmy Badnock has already branded the Reform numbers fake and explained why. But I'd be looking at something else too. Again, even if they are fake, that should be worrying. That should be worrying. And bear in mind, Reform were bold enough to do that, to broadcast them, to project them onto CCHQ. There are going to be more defections this year. There are going to be a lot more Conservative defections this year. I would not be surprised if we get a few aisle crosses next year. I would not be surprised if we saw that. But this is what happens when you decide we are only going to care about that right-wing vote because once upon a time we were the only right-wing party, and now that we've actually had a challenger to us on that, we're just going to completely wet the bed and panic about it constantly. Well, guess what? That doesn't get you anywhere. But there you go. So, first of all, Reform, of course, people have willing to make that stunt happen. While most of us were trying to enjoy, of course, a national holiday away from politics, two, they have had the political nonce and the digital comms operation to make stunts work for them. Three, they are hungry to prove their claim that they are riding a wave of societal change the Conservatives just don't understand. And four, the Conservative Party does need more members to join the fight. Again, he's right on that. He's very, very right on that. To make that stunt happen, you need people who are clued in on technology, very much copying, bear in mind, the led by donkeys stance on that. And to be honest, as they say, imitation, hey, it's a sincerest form of flattery. Farage and Reform have been the target of many of those led by donkey stunts for quite some time. It would not shock me if Farage has gone, What if I did that, except I were to put, my propaganda on it, you know? Um, Not the first time someone has projected something onto something. Like I say, led by donkeys, been doing that for years. But hey, as I said, imitation, sincerest form of flattery. So Nigel, of course, won't be upset if I say he's a bit of a show off. He is. It's what makes those that like him and like him more. It's what draws people to at least giving him a hearing. And ultimately, he does not care about those who will never like him. They are crafting a fight on their terms. And again, he's right. He is right on that. They are crafting a fight on his terms. And the Tories are falling for it hook, line, and sinker. What's it called? Is it rope a dope? Or something like that? I think the boxing term is where you sort of lull someone in to punch, and then you sort of counter them. You just completely counter punch them. I think that's what it's called. I'm not, again, not 100% sure on the boxing terminology, but it definitely seems that's what they are doing. They're completely being roped in, and Kenny Badnock is dumb enough to fall for these many, many times. So the Conservatives should look at this provocation, provocation that it is. Do their thing, not his thing. If you don't believe their easy answers are real answers, if you think your own party has the will and belief to get back into government, then ignore the uni-party nonsense. It's an absurd comparison. Don't swallow the idea that the new Tory leader is somehow a lefty. Agree with that all you want to, but also call snake oil what it is when you see it. I do love the fact that Reform have started to call Kimmy Badnock a lefty. It is kind of funny. It is kind of funny because they are trying to sort of paint her as that's what's wrong with the Conservative Party. It is all those lefty conservatives. And again, they're not lefties. They're still right. But again, it's terminology that many people will go, yeah, is Kimmy Badnock a bit too left? Again, I don't think anyone would disagree. And to be honest, if they did want a more left-wing leader and they wanted to go to a different party, they're not going to join Reform. They're going to probably go and join the Liberal Democrats. And like I say, I've said this, Liberal Democrat numbers have increased. Where's he talking about their numbers? They're ignoring a massive threat to them, and it's going to be so funny when it happens at the May local elections. Like I say, the biggest winners, the May local elections, I'm already saying it now, is going to be the Lib Dems. It is going to be them. So get up, get active, and get out there. If Conservatives don't, Reform will now happily use the political treadmill to trample you. That's what they've said that they want. Labour took 6 months to revive their serious weakness on immigration and the economy. But equally, there are obvious holes in what Reform are, of course, selling. That, of course, not definitely answered by, yeah, but you were just as bad in government. The Conservatives do not need to be offering an alternative manifesto to offer stronger position to call out hyperbolic promises by either Labour or Reform. But yeah, you were just as bad as government is a legitimate criticism, probably for at least the next year and a half, and people are going to have a very long memory. I think the last Conservative administration, people are going to have a very, very long memory. For the Conservatives to really get back, they would have to have fundamental root and branch reform. That would mean changing the current Conservative Party from what it is now to something completely different. But there is no one there brave enough to do that because it would mean a massive civil war, massive changes. No one's brave enough to do that. Even if Robert Jarrett had somehow won, Conservatives would be still in this mess. So Christmas Day provided just one example. Richard Trice explained to the Express reform solution to the Christmas Day small boat traffic that saw 461 migrants reach the UK illegally. Trice explained the reform would just simply pick them up and take them back to France. Again, can't do that. It sounds good to those, of course, who want to stop the small boats, and he did quote the UN Convention of Law at Sea as suggested that it was completely allowed. I've read it, and I'd like to know where it says that, and how that would square with the real obstacle. Again, he's right. The International Maritime Law on Safety of Life at Sea. Again, we wrote that. Like, I just want to say this, like that, and like most international maritime law comes from the UK because we pretty much wrote it and we enforced it because at one time we had the world's largest navy, and when you have that, you get to make a lot of rules sometimes, and that was just one of the things that we did a lot on. But no, he is right. Maritime law, international maritime law, he is right. What he's quoted in the UN, Convention of Human Rights Law at Sea doesn't say you can do that. So Trice is wrong. He should be called out on that stuff. Not just, of course, by conservatives, but by everyone else as well. Does not want to see reform ever get in. So back to this. They need to actually explain how this policy will just not collapse on first contact with reality. It is not about political will. Again, he's right. The reality is that would fail, that would fall as soon as it came into contact with reality. He's right on that. This is what populism is. It's simple solutions to very complex problems. And what Trice said there, yeah, simple solution to a very complex problem when it meets reality. Easiest way to do that, set up safe routes. We've even had offers from France to actually process migrants in France. Oh. There we go. That's just my calendar falling over. We've actually had that offer from France to help do that, but they haven't done it because they haven't followed through on it. They don't want to because, oh look, it'd be working with another foreign country, and maybe after 2016 saying no, we are a sovereign country, we can do things on our own. Not the best look, really, is it? But there you go. So, with, of course, this new platform, he continues, based, of course, on real conservative values. But what new platform? Or what real conservative values? Kimmy Badenoch hasn't said that. A different offer than, of course, what voters rejected in July. There has been nothing new offered to voters. The Conservatives could actually beat Labour and change the balance with reform. Then we can all talk about numbers. Again, what are you going to be offering? Kim Badenoch hasn't said anything. Hasn't said anything about policy or anything like that. As far as she and others are concerned, what was being offered by the Conservative Party, what had been offered for the past 14 years, was absolutely wonderful. That was maybe not proper conservatism, but oh, trust me, real conservatism is like 10 times better than what was on offer. You're like, that's a bit weird. That's a bit weird to be offering that. Oh, the real point now is, do they really want to? That is what voters aren't sure about right now. Are the Conservatives serious about taking this fight on? If they are, January is, of course, time to get ready and match fit for fighting. That is what it's really going to be about. But whose outcome, of course, is nearly not as certain as some will overconfidently tell you. It's all up to you. Again, trying to sort of rally the party faithful, get them out to vote. Good luck on that. They seem to be a bit weak in the knees on that. Meanwhile, of course, you have people telling you about how the fact things have changed, how they're not really, into, all this stuff. Then there's, of course, where is it? Yes, here this is the one I want to talk about. This comment said we are at least 6 months past the election, and a new leader now seldom ever who has absolutely no policies at all, no clear defining vision. And while the main challenge is sorting, of course, large scale funding, a local branch network has the media game and the policies that are more and more as well likely, of course, a rapid growing membership. It has all the feel of a party with something to say and the vision with a charismatic leader. It takes up the issues weekly and runs them. Let the Manchester airport incident while others look away. Where are they now getting members, coverage, and of course the zeitgeist? Meanwhile, where is Sleeping Beauty? Again, calling out the fact Padnock has no policies. What is she doing? You know? Um, Someone else, 2025 will of course be a very significant year for the Conservative Party and its leader. Reform currently have the momentum. Now, I'm afraid that Badnock is just not an astute politician. I think there will be defections amongst the parliamentary party if Badnock does not up her game. The biggest issue in 2025 will be the economy. And love all else, migration, legal and illegal. Um, Someone else commenting on their about their website. Um, Someone saying here, if the Conservative Party needs to embrace AI and digital media if wish to win votes. These days of coffee parties knocking on doors and leaflets are now nearing their end. No, knocking on doors still has value, leafleting still has value, but there are just more things to do now. Having a digital strategy, campaigning is very important now. Um, where is it? Someone else here, yeah. During 2025, we shall see reform gobbling up significant parts of the Conservative Party. This will be the make or break time to get rid of the one nation wets. Well, congratulations. That's a significant portion of your party you want to kick out. Good luck. um, Saying, yeah, if we don't get rid of them, they might just be might as well just be the Lib Dems. But many of them, or those people, are going to the Lib Dems, but good luck with that. Oh yeah, here it is. This is one of the comments I want to read out. So if Kemi wants people to pound the pavements for a Conservative Party, she needs to get some policies. A party isn't a football team. You don't just want to win because. She needs to have more boldness. The One Nationers aren't going to go anywhere. They're sensible enough to know that joining Labour would, of course, be rats leaping onto a sinking ship. Get some policies and stop getting into these ridiculous, meaningless scraps. Again, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. If you don't have any policies, why are people going to go out and pound the pavements for you? Not going to do that at all. Um, I think that's it. I think that's all of these. Yeah, some there's a, there's unfortunately a lot of good deal of wishful thinking here. With a new platform based on real conservative values, but voters surely saw what the conservative values had become under Johnson: a complete lack of seriousness and integrity, a core belief that rules are for the little people. Badnock now has explicitly given Johnson a pass on all of his behaviour. Then he goes, Labour took 6 months to reveal their real weakness on immigration. Really, in the last weeks of the year, figures that were published that showed that Johnson allowed illegal immigration to increase 4 times just in a single year over the 2019 level. Try knocking on front doors and trying to explain that one away. Um, yeah, and of course, you can tell they don't like this guy because he talks a lot about how it was a mistake to leave the European Union. gee, it's almost like there's a lot of people in the Conservative Party who still think that was a very bad idea. But yeah, let me know what you think. I want to know. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think could happen to the Conservative Party in 2025? I think they're going to lose very big in the May local elections. I think the biggest winners are going to be the Lib Dems, and I think after that there is going to be more mass panic. We are going to get more mass panic leading up to the May local elections about reform. I think if they lose significantly, then they will, depending on the scale of the loss, they will panic more and more and more about reform. They may even try to get rid of Kimmy Badenoch. May even try to get rid of Kimmy Badenoch if she doesn't step up and perform. And technically, they can't have a vote of no confidence in her because she's still within her year protection. Of course, the limit has increased, but as I've said before, even though they've increased that limit to like 30%, if 29% of the party still votes against you, even not meeting that limit, that's still a significant number of your party that hasn't any faith in you. And remember what happened to Boris Johnson when he had his vote of no confidence and a significant portion of his party just didn't have any confidence in him. So, as always, let me know what you think down below. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.